Welcome to Toku Showcase, the video series where I, the Toku Professor, introduce Japanese special effects franchises, both prominent and obscure, to new audiences, in brief, informative videos. If you're new to the Tokusatsu genre, this is the series for you. And if you're already a fan of these franchises, these are the perfect videos to share with your buddies so they too can learn to appreciate the shows you love. And you never know, maybe you'll learn something too. In today's entry, we'll be covering the Gamera Series, a franchise themed around a giant turtle monster named, Gamera, which was originally created by the film company Daiei to take advantage of the monster boom brought about by their rival Toho's Godzilla series. But what began as a Godzilla ripoff would quickly grow into its own unique and influential phenomenon, with its own distinctive history. Time to begin the 3-minute introduction. Start the timer! The Godzilla films, which featured many giant monsters called Kaiju portrayed by people in costumes, proved to be quite lucrative for the Toho film studio, so Daiei decided to get in on the Kaiju action as well. Gamera, the giant monster, released in black and white in 1965 and introduced the world to a gigantic, ancient fire-breathing and fire-eating turtle monster who could fly by expelling flames from his shell. Much like Godzilla, he was depicted, for now, as a hostile menace to mankind who trampled cities in order to devour various energy sources. But he was mysteriously also shown saving a young child from plummeting to his doom before continuing to rampage. The first film performed better than expected for Daiei, so a sequel, Gamera vs. Barugon, was released the following year in color. It was the first movie to feature Gamera battling another kaiju, and he never appeared alone again. Next came Gamera vs. Gyaos, a pivotal film which introduced Gamera's arch-nemesis, a human-devouring bird-like monster named Gyaos, and which firmly established that Gamera would no longer be depicted as a villain, and was now a defender of humanity, particularly children, as had been foreshadowed in the first movie. His alliance with young kids would become a huge theme in the next few films, which all featured child protagonists, and not surprisingly had kids as their target audience. In order to appeal to youngsters, Gamera basically became a kaiju superhero who was the friend to all children. The movies got a lot sillier, not to mention cheaper. Also, even though the films were now being made for kids, Daiei didn't shy away from extra-violent monster fights, which kids apparently liked, resulting in Toho's Godzilla fights becoming more violent too. Godzilla was now copying Gamera. However, all was not well for Daiei, and the company went bankrupt, resulting in the Gamera series going dormant. The company that bought Daiei only released one new film between 1971 and 1995, and it was almost entirely stock footage. It was during these dark years for the series in Japan that American distributor Sandy Frank began releasing the movies with English dubs in the US, and it was these dubs that the comedy show Mystery Science Theater 3000 would later further popularize in America by mocking them. Meanwhile, in 1995 in Japan, it was decided to reboot the series for Gamera's 30th anniversary, and Gamera the Guardian of the Universe was released, the first of a successful trilogy which was much more serious than the majority of the earlier films and greatly improved Gamera's reputation, with exciting monster action that rivaled the Godzilla films of the same time period. Gamera's backstory was slightly adjusted for these movies, but he remained a defender of mankind, though the friend of little kids aspect of Gamera's personality wasn't really shown. But Gamera's alliance with young children was on full display in the as-of-now last Gamera film called Gamera the Brave, released in 2006 by the monster's new owner, Kadokawa, a sentimental reboot that unfortunately failed to captivate the public, resulting in Gamera disappearing again. But this year, Gamera will at last make his return in Gamera Rebirth on Netflix, an animated miniseries. As we wait for the show to drop, why not check out the Gamera series and get acquainted with the Guardian of the Universe? I think you'll enjoy the ride. See you next time.
What's wrong, Kashimu-kun?
Go away!